Imagine standing alone in a grand hall, the echoes of whispered conversations bouncing off the stone walls. You sense the furtive glances, the hushed tones, the subtle nods in your direction followed by quiet chuckles. It's as if the very air is thick with judgment, pressing down on you, challenging your very essence. I've been there. I know that weight. But let me tell you a secret. They talked behind my back, and I chose not to care. In the early days of my journey, I was filled with zeal and a burning desire to prove myself. Yet despite my dedication, I became the subject of hushed tones and furtive glances. Fellow comrades, even those I considered friends, would speak ill of me when they thought I couldn't hear. He's not fit for this path, they would say. His skills are lacking. He'll never make it. These words, though spoken in shadows, cast long and dark clouds over my spirit. I questioned my worth, my abilities, and my purpose. The weight of their judgments threatened to crush the very essence of who I was. In my despair, I turned to the Holy Scriptures for guidance and comfort. There, I found verses that spoke directly to my wounded heart. Proverbs 16:28 teaches us, "A dishonest man spreads strife, and a whisperer separates close friends." This wisdom illuminated the destructive nature of gossip and slander. It became clear that those who engaged in such behavior were not reflecting my truth, but revealing their own inner turmoil. Furthermore, Ephesians 4:29 advises, "Let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only such as is good for building up as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear." This passage reminded me of the power of words, to harm or to heal. I resolved then to ensure my own speech would be a source of encouragement, not destruction. One day, after a particularly grueling challenge, I overheard a group mocking my efforts, but instead of retreating into self-doubt, a realization dawned upon me. Their words held no power over me unless I granted them such authority. I confronted them, not with anger, but with calm conviction. "Your words about me are your own burden to bear," I stated. "I choose not to carry the weight of your judgments." This declaration was liberating. By refusing to internalize their negativity, I reclaimed my peace and focus. I let them be negative, and I chose to be positive. Over time, I discovered a new kind of strength, a strength not forged by swords or armor, but by faith, self-control, and discipline. I realized that when others speak ill of you, the most powerful thing you can do is not strike back, but walk forward with your head held high. I learned to root my identity not in their words, but in the Word of God. The whispers of others cannot compete with the voice of the one who made me. Psalm 139, verse 14 echoes this eternal truth. "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made." When I truly believed that, the insults began to fade into background noise. Instead of fueling the fire of gossip by responding with anger or slander of my own, I disciplined myself to speak with grace. Proverbs 21:23 reminds us that whoever keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps himself out of trouble. I found peace in silence. I found power in choosing not to retaliate. And when I did speak, I chose words that built others up, even those who had once torn me down. I also learned the value of facing rumors head-on, not with hostility, but with clarity. Sometimes, people speak behind your back because they don't have the courage to speak to your face. When rumors reached my ears, I sought the truth, not to prove myself right, but to protect peace. And in many cases, simply addressing the issue directly dissolved the power of the gossip. Most of all, I began to focus on my mission, on the path set before me. The more I poured my energy into my purpose, the less those voices mattered. Excellence became my answer to slander. My actions began to speak so loudly that the whispers could no longer be heard over the sound of my integrity. My legacy would not be built on defending my name. It would be built on living in such a way that no one could question it. And in those moments where I faltered, because yes, there were times I wanted to give in to bitterness, I surrounded myself with those who reminded me of my worth. Allies who sharpened me like iron sharpens iron. Their presence was a balm to my soul, a reminder that while some may speak behind your back, others will stand firmly at your side. Allow me to share one more personal story. During a campaign to defend a troubled village from a band of raiders, I was appointed leader of a company of knights. Some scoffed, whispering that I had not earned it, that I was merely filling a seat meant for someone greater. I said nothing in return. I let the fire in my heart burn not with rage, but with resolve. I studied, I trained, I strategized. I did not sleep while others rested, not to prove myself to them, but to honor the duty placed in my hands. We returned victorious, not because I needed to prove them wrong, but because I chose to stay true to my calling. That day, the same mouths that spoke behind my back fell silent. And though their silence was satisfying, it was not the victory. The real victory was this: I never let their words change who I was. Now I speak to you, the one watching this, listening not just with your ears, but with your heart. Maybe you've been talked about behind closed doors. Maybe people have questioned your abilities, doubted your dreams, insulted your character when you weren't in the room to defend yourself. Maybe it hurt. Maybe it still does. But hear me now. Their words are not your truth. You are not defined by whispers. You are not shaped by shadows. You are a child of God, made with purpose, destined for greatness, and called to rise above the noise. Isaiah 54:17 gives us this promise: No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. That includes the weapon of words. That includes the tongues that speak falsely in your absence. Let your life speak louder than their lies. Let your work speak louder than their whispers. And let your God speak louder than your critics. You are stronger than you know. There will always be those who talk behind your back. But when they do, it only means one thing: you are ahead of them. Keep walking, keep building, keep becoming the person God created you to be. They may talk behind your back, but you, my friend, are moving forward. And they can't reach where you're going, not unless they stop whispering and start walking their own journey. So lift your head, square your shoulders, silence the doubt, and let the life you live be the loudest thing they ever hear. They talked behind your back, but you kept going. That's real strength. That's real grace. And that is the beginning of your greatness. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.